I swear I'm sorry if this story doesn't make any sense. I was just having too much fun throwing random thoughts in here and I didn't even work out a serious plot. I only got the song, so you're watching this at your own risk. This was the best night ever. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 groaned as 2 bottles of water and lemonade were thrown at him, followed by a pack of chips and some bananas. LMAO, this is so random. Rin. What the fuck? Get up. Press is already waiting outside. What's this about? 𝒖𝒂𝒄 gathered the food Suna has thrown at him and raised his brows. Your breakfast. Hurry up now. What a shit breakfast. Are you seriously complaining right now? Get up, Kyo. Kenma will rip your head off if you're late. Whatever. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 straightened up from his couch and raised his head, contorting his face and squeezing his eyes shut. He had a fucking hangover. Suna stood in the doorway and looked at his best friend. He had his arms crossed in front of his chest and was chuckling. What? Nothing. Fuck off, Rin. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 threw a pillow at Suna, which the guitarist caught with ease. You look like shit. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 forced an annoyed fake smile on his face as he looked at Suna, who innocently raised his hands in the air. Don't look at me like that. I told you to stop drinking. You told me to stop drinking water and down 2 more shots with you. Exactly. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 groaned, rolling his eyes as he let himself fall backwards. He actually felt pretty shitty. His head hurt, he felt sick, and he was incredibly tired. We are supposed to perform one of our old songs before we are interviewed so they can make their video and put it on the website along with the article. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 had his palm slapped to his face and was somehow trying to get back among the living on Earth without vomiting everything he had eaten in the last 13 days. Yeah, whatever. Oh god, I'm absolutely not in the mood. Get it together, man. We just got back from our break. Suna warned him, and 𝒖𝒂𝒄 took his hands off his face and looked at him. By now. Yes, alright. I know. I'm sorry. Suna shook his head. Just pull yourself together, okay? The meeting's only for half an hour. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 sighed, resting his head on the back of the couch and staring at the ceiling before slowly getting up, walking wordlessly past Suna with the water bottle in his hand. Atsumu was finally done with the sound check. Since he himself had been a little late and there had been some problems with the amplifier, the blonde had taken somewhat longer than usual. But nothing should prevent the performance now. Normally there were no chances for him being able to interact with the band. If he hadn't overslept, even with the problems he had today, he would have finished early enough to avoid meeting the band. But he had overslept. Atsumu was on his way to the restrooms, opening the bathroom door, when he heard someone vomiting from one of the stalls. He heard the flush and hurried to where the noises came from. Oh my god, is everything okay? Do you need a lord? 𝒖𝒂𝒄? Atsumu's eyes widened as 𝒖𝒂𝒄 stumbled out of the toilet stall, completely pale, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Their eyes met. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 frowned and looked at Atsumu disdainfully. Do I know you? He continued walking to the sink and rinsed his mouth, washing his hands and watching the blonde through the mirror. Fucking asshole. Can't even remember us spending the night together. Not to mention I fucking work for you. Arrogant. TSK. Whatever. Bastard. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 was about to leave the bathroom when Atsumu raised his voice. Chicken broth and a teaspoon of salt. What? 𝒖𝒂𝒄 looked at him deadpanned. Your hangover. Drink a hot cup of chicken broth mixed with a teaspoon of salt. Should restore a bit more color to you and oh. Atsumu dug in his pocket and pulled out a peppermint drop. He tossed it to 𝒖𝒂𝒄, who looked at him startled as he caught it. You might want to take this. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 looked at the candy in his hand and then looked back up at the blonde man a few steps away from him. Still blank. He frowned and opened the door, was about to leave the bathroom when he peeked in at the last moment and realized the blonde had helped him. Thank you. Atsumu snorted. Yeah, whatever, Omi. Atsumu disappeared to the toilet while 𝒖𝒂𝒄 left the bathroom and headed for the press. He put the candy in his mouth and squinted his eyes as a memory came back to him of hitting on someone and exchanging a few words with that man. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 squinted his eyes even more. He paused and then abruptly turned to look towards the bathroom. Omi. I swear Kyo, you ask for weird things sometimes, but warm chicken broth with salt is just gross. It's actually quite helpful when your circulation goes limp. Hangover, Kyo? Could be. Iwaizumi shook his head and had his hands loosely tugged in his pockets. Either way, he still found it disgusting. Guys, I'm off. Okura is waiting. I also have a few things to discuss with Bakuto-san, so I'm leaving now as well. Suna twitched his eyebrows and grinned slyly. Discuss. Akashi rolled his eyes, while even Sakusa was grinning by now. The curly-haired man stared at his phone screen again. I'll stay for a bit, just wanted to check something. Sakusa remembered how the blonde man was wearing a shirt that definitely had their record label on it. So he had to work for them, and the chance to see him again might not be so small. Akashi and Iwaizumi said their goodbyes, while Suna leaned against the wall and typed on his phone, smiling like an idiot. What's there to laugh about? Huh? You're literally glued to your phone, Rin. Aren't I always? Not like that. Suna's mischievous smirk widened even more. Okay, listen, yesterday when we were at the party, I met someone. Fuck. Kyo, that guy was. Suna stopped himself, his chin dropping and his eyes widening impossibly. Sakusa glanced in his direction and frowned, drawing his eyebrows even further together. Holy shit, Osamu. Osamu? Atsumu. Atsumu? Wait, how do you know my brother? Brother? Once all the confusion was cleared up, Atsumu got back to work, carefully dismantling the instruments, with Sakusa helping him while Suna already dashed off for another appointment with Kiryu. It turned out that not only Atsumu, but also Osamu had a little more fun last night. With the small but subtle difference that Osamu had simply stored his contact in Suna's phone because Suna was also too drunk to do so. Not too drunk to forget about him, though. Long story short, Osamu was a freaking simp for Suna, so he couldn't pass up the chance, and apparently Suna was at least as whipped for Osamu. Your advice from earlier. Thank you. That helped. Aha. Atsumu didn't let himself be distracted from his work and ignored Sakusa. Look at that, he just ignored the great Sakusa Kiyumi, giving him the cold shoulder as if he wasn't a huge superstar and just a stranger he wanted to get rid of. Well, spending the night together and then just ignoring him? Oh, Atsumu wouldn't play along with that. He didn't need to drop down to that level. Atsumu had dignity. He no longer had dignity when Sakusa pressed up against him from behind, encircling him as he braced his hands against the amplifier and let his lips slide against his ear. Your cute nickname brought back my memories of last night. Do you mind if I return the favor? Atsumu stopped whatever he was doing until just now. He blushed, and he blushed hard. His heart fluttered, so he took a deep breath to calm himself down again. He turned around slowly, leaning his butt against the amplifier, and looked up into Sakusa's eyes. No, the curls that fell perfectly into his face, the two sexy moles above his brow, and those impossibly devouring dark eyes were definitely not causing Atsumu's knees to go weak. No. Not at all. Maybe Atsumu was a little too close to him. Or maybe Atsumu wanted to be even closer. You just threw up like 40 minutes ago. It's gross. Drank a lot, and this extremely attractive man here in front of me made sure my breath wasn't all that bad either. Sakusa said as he brushed a few of his blonde strands out of Atsumu's face. Atsumu being red as a tomato was the understatement of the millennium. Oh, and Suna also gave me this. Sakusa lifted a yellow piece of candy and seductively stuffed it into his mouth. Something sweet, huh? Smells like lemon. Do you like lemon? Kinda. Atsumu shrugged and Sakusa grinned. Want to try it? Atsumu scoffed, drawing his eyebrows together and looking at Sakusa in disbelief. But before he knew it, the singer pressed his lips to Atsumu's, making him gasp, and then shoved his tongue into his mouth, bringing the candy with him. Atsumu's eyes widened at the hasty kiss, while Sakusa looked at him with half-lidded eyes. He smirked into the kiss, then broke away from Atsumu again, gently rubbing his lower lip and spreading the saliva that made his mouth seem even more kissable. You look cute, all flushed. Atsumu bit his lips and looked at Sakusa from under his lashes. And you're kind of pretty hot. Sakusa's grin kept growing. He leaned down to Atsumu and let his hot breath slide over his skin as he whispered to him. My room? Now? And Atsumu nodded. Fuck, Maybe Atsumu was a little whipped too. Being famous is anything but easy. A few weeks passed, and even though it seemed that both Atsumu and Osamu were lucky with their new acquaintances at first, the whole thing was just insanely complicated. Atsumu and 𝒖𝒂𝒄 were doing it over and over again. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 thought the blonde was cute, was kind of smitten with him, but Atsumu wasn't sure if 𝒖𝒂𝒄 was really attracted to him, or just his body. He knew 𝒖𝒂𝒄 was coming out of a tough relationship. He suspected that was why he just needed to distract himself. He had no idea what the reason for the breakup was though. Distraction. Atsumu was totally okay with that at first, but there was just something about 𝒖𝒂𝒄 that didn't let Atsumu think straight, which completely stirred up his feelings for him. And suddenly Atsumu felt his heart beat a little faster when the singer was near him. And suddenly it hurt when 𝒖𝒂𝒄 ignored him, or when he read another article about how 𝒖𝒂𝒄 Kayumi was once again seen hooking up with various other celebrities. And suddenly Atsumu found himself in a situation that he himself knew perfectly well was hopeless. He had fallen in love with a famous lead singer of a fucking band that was way too famous to ever be approachable. He wasn't just fanboyishly in love. Atsumu's feelings for 𝒖𝒂𝒄 Kayumi were getting stronger by the day, and it pissed him off. Because 𝒖𝒂𝒄 Kayumi had been playing with him, and he couldn't even blame him. They didn't have anything permanent. They never would, even if Atsumu wanted it so much. And besides, 𝒖𝒂𝒄 Kayumi was a fucking celebrity, while Atsumu was just a lowly employee. He knew it was hopeless. Are you ready? Osamu didn't have it any better. He and Suna wrote each other every day, but Suna was a damn busy man. He spent most of his time in the studio coming up with new beats and melodies that Kayumi would then write lyrics to, or the other way around. The fact is, Osamu and Suna hadn't seen each other since the festival a few weeks ago, which also made Osamu doubt whether Suna was even interested in him. Maybe both of us just had happy fanboy moments, Samu. At least your crush wants your body. At least your crush actually wants to talk to you. Osamu snorted. Yeah, I'd rather be Fu. Osamu was interrupted when the host announced their band name and a small crowd started cheering. 𝒖𝒂𝒄 and Suna didn't know about Gemini. It never came up, and both Atsumu and Osamu didn't want to tell them either. They didn't want it to look like they were hoping for their help to make them big. They were going to make it on their own, and they already had their small but mighty fanbase. Mask? Here. To preserve their privacy, Atsumu and Osamu had long ago started wearing masks during their performances. This way, they remained unknown in case they would ever be discovered. Their hopes were not very high, but that was okay. It was mainly supposed to be fun. They pulled up their hoods and hurried onto the stage, waving to the crowd and beaming. Man, the bar was really packed today. There were probably about 400 people there. Of course it was no comparison to lethargy, but as said, Atsumu and Osamu weren't famous. Osamu placed himself behind his mixer, while Atsumu moved to the microphone. They both knew how to play the guitar, but for their new song they needed something more than that. Osamu had always loved to combine different sounds and instruments, even if he would never learn them all himself. So it was only more than natural that the gray-haired twin expanded his talent for being a DJ, while Atsumu was the wordsmith and responsible for their lyrics, and also did most of the singing. Of course he also sought Osamu's opinion, but if it was like it was now, if they both felt similarly and, oh boy, they were twins, somehow they always managed to put themselves in similar situations, then Osamu didn't have much to criticize or add to Atsumu's lyrics. So here they were today, giving free rein to their feelings.
We can get high if you want, blowing purple to the sky if you want. I'm tryna make you mad if you want, but I know where you go when you're gone. We can lay low if you want, I won't let all go to low if you want. I'm tryna get to know what you want now, 'cause you're the kind that gets what you want. So now gon' put me in my place before. So now you're giving me free reasons I should get free, but I can get no sleep, honey. You're all in fantasies, getting used to this hangover, 'cause fucked up is my new sober. I'm always on my way closer till the moment I freeze over. You got me frozen, colder than ice. Bitch, you don't love me, tell another lie. Frozen, 3:45. Hit me with the text in the middle of the night. Frozen, zero below. I could die tonight, and I'm way out of my zone. You got me frozen, head to the toe. Bound to happen when you love these hoes. Body to the floor, body to the floor. Heart made of snow, heart made of snow. She was coming home, she was coming home. I've been keeping score, I've been keeping score. It's a that you don't let go. Spend all my money, got thrown. I let it go. You let it show. Got me frozen, colder than ice. Bitch, you don't love me, tell another lie. Frozen, 3:45. Hit me with the text in the middle of the night. Frozen, zero below. I could die tonight when I'm out of my zone. Got me frozen, head to the toe. Bound to happen when you love these hoes.
The crowd was cheering for them. Osamu and Atsumu were looking at each other, happy that the song was so successful and that they could sing their feelings off their chest. It felt good, it helped them. Holy shit. 𝒖𝒔𝒊𝒄 lowered his phone and saved the video of the performance he had just recorded. He quickly typed a message away, a piece of cake for an influencer liked him, and immediately made a call as he sent the video. Hajime. You guys have to check this out.
Thank